So today we're talking to mystic, yogi, and a visionary. But why is he exactly on the Autocar channel? That's because he's a biker at heart, and he shares a common passion of traveling by road everywhere in the world. Welcome and thank you for joining us today on
Namaskaram.
this conversation. It's a pleasure to have with you with us today, Sadhguru, and I believe you're on a journey of your own right now. I've also just returned from a 15-day road trip, and it has been liberating. It has been fantastic. And you've also undertaken this journey at a very difficult time in the world. So tell us what prompted you to take on this journey at this time, and why.
Well, wanting to do something about the Native American culture in North America has been on my mind for over 18 years since I encountered something very painful about that culture. Since then, I've been wanting to do it, I've been acquainting myself with the process, but my schedules never allowed me to travel like this.
Mhm.
Well, you said difficult times, I'm sure you're talking about the virus and the pandemic. But I think I'm able to travel only because of the pandemic, not in
Mhm.
spite of it. And what better way to keep social distancing than to ride a motorcycle?
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Being on the bike, does it? You're a yogi, meditation. A lot of bikers talk about that experience of being on the bike, the wind, just you under the helmet, being an almost meditative experience in itself. So, is that the connect that brought you to biking at the outset?
No, not really. When I was very young, I took to riding. I started riding when I was 11, 12, my father's scooter, and then wherever I got something to ride. When I turned 18, the first thing is within a month's time, I got my license. And I crisscrossed India on my motorcycle for almost 4.5 years. I
Wow.
literally lived on a motorcycle. I even used to sleep in my nights, I used to sleep on the motorcycle when I traveled. I was like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, since then, almost 28 years, I never got onto a motorcycle, nor did I think of them. But when this Rally for Rivers came, some people said, Sadhguru, you must ride. I was wondering after 28 years of
Mhm.
not being on a motorcycle, will I be good at it? But when I sat on the motorcycle, I realized I had not lost a day. Since then, I've been having trouble getting into cars.
Well, I'm a car person, so wherever I travel by cars. But I firmly believe that the best way to see this world, the best way to learn, the best way to imbibe things around us and understand things around us are when you travel by road. So, what was it that gave you that passion to absolutely start road travel, and that too on two wheels?
Uh, Two wheels, because right now if you're asking for this trip, Native American culture is a very oral culture, there's no literature, there are no monuments. So generally, whatever their spirit is always, you definitely heard of blowing in the winds kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So if it's blowing in the wind, I thought I should confront the wind. And the only way I could do it is, I couldn't manage a horseback. So
Mhm.
the next alternative is a motorcycle.
But what does why do you undertake this journey by road? um how does yeah so what prompts you
See,
to do this? Because like you said, time is very precious to you. I'm sure you have so many other things to do, but a road journey is a commitment. It is a commitment of time. It is a commitment of a long period of being out without connectivity sometimes. So what prompts you to do this by road?
uh, well, I've also driven a lot on, on four wheels, quite a bit across the world. Because travel, when you do it from airport to airport, hotel room to hotel room, you don't really experience anything in terms of people, culture, land. For me, terrain is very important. Terrain has always been very fascinating thing for me. It's very difficult to explain. Just the fascinating geometry of terrain is something that always kept me deeply engaged. And when you drive, if you drive at a certain speed, one important thing is you're alert, simply alert. So even now, even in this trip, some nights we are riding full night. At that
Yeah.
time, I used to ride day and night, up to 3 days and 3 nights without sleep. I used have done it in the past because that sense of alertness makes you so alive, and I mean, you can't afford to relax your alertness for a moment. And attention is the most fundamental thing in human life, that human attention can open up any door in the universe. But unfortunately, with modern education, people are made to believe that human thought is bigger than human attention.
Hmm.
No, human thought is just recycling of what you already know. Human attention is what opens doors. And especially if you're on two wheels, uh, you cannot, uh, well, if there's no attention, you won't be there.
Correct. Right. And like you said, I mean, traveling by road and being out there, I think is a learning experience that you cannot get from books, that you cannot get from the internet, that the youth so firmly believe in at this point of time. I think feeling it on your own is completely different. Meeting people, cultures, like you said, it's a completely different experience. Would you encourage the youth to, give up this whole attention that they have to the screen these days, and get out more and be out more in the outdoors, like people in our generation were probably a long time ago. We spend a lot more time in the outdoors than the current generation does today. Do you think that's a problem, and do you think people need to get out more and be on the road?
On the road or off-road, it's their choice. I did a lot of
Mhm.
off-road at one time. Uh, but the important thing is you cannot experience life on the screen of a phone, okay, all right? 2 inches by 4 inches is not a life experience. People are even watching sunsets and sunrises on their phones,
Yeah.
which is most unfortunate. If you don't feel this earth, in many ways you miss everything about yourself, because the very body that you carry is just a piece of this planet. You need some connection with the planet, with the land, with the air that you breathe and everything else. Uh, because as I said earlier, because unfortunately our education system has made people misunderstand that information is experience. Information is not life. Information may assist life to some extent, but information is not life. A profound experience of life is needed. Well, in physical terms, profoundness of life is definitely about being in constantly in different terrains, because if you live in the same terrain, you become unalert, you lose your attentiveness.
So tell us a little bit about this extensive, I believe, over 12,500 kilometer journey of yours. Why did you choose this particular route? And tell us more about exactly where you're going.
We started off from our center in Tennessee. We established this center at the head of Trail of Tears, as it is known, where the Cherokee were moved, and there is a heart-rending story there about, as I said earlier, 18 years ago, I came in touch with a very painful experience of the past that happened there. Since then, I've been wanting to explore this. My intent was because these people have become invisible to the rest of the world. I wanted to make them visible because a culture which existed here at one time, nearly 25 to 30 million people, when the Europeans came in 1490s or whatever. So since then, the population has diminished, the culture has kind of gone into background. Most parts of the world, people don't even know they exist. I'm sure even I did not know about 4 months ago. I knew a few tribes, but I did not know there were 500 distinct nations of Native American culture, 500 nations in United States alone. So today I'm discovering those things and meeting those minor tribes or nations where populations are like yesterday I met one particular tribe which lives at the base of Grand Canyon, where
Mm.
there are only 625 people left. So each one of them have different language, different spiritual process, different kind of approach. They have their own creation theories. It's quite incredible that way. So we started from there, and largely our route has been determined by the various Native American reservations and the old nations where they were, their sacred places. So we have covered various places like this of very immense power and beauty, natural beauty out here. I mean, especially what we have done in South Dakota, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, most incredible terrain. I mean, most people wouldn't have imagined there are places like this. I'm saying even US citizens, most of them wouldn't have seen these things. It's too fantastic. And if you're talking because you're auto channel, I'm saying, as a rider, this is a motorcyclist's dream, the mountains, the climbs. And relatively, I would say, very safe, though challenging. It is safe because everybody is following rules and you're not expecting suddenly to an elephant to land up on the street or something, though there's a little bit of buffalo and other wildlife. And also one biggest threat is deer hits, that
Correct.
we see hundreds of deer smashed up either by trucks or cars. When cars hit these big ones, they're going to total loss kind of damage. If you hit them on a motorcycle, you know what it
Then
is.
you're a total loss at the end of it.
Yes, I had a… I had a small deer hit, I was just at 45-mile speed, so I managed it pretty well, and the deer also fell down, and then we turned back. We went there and put him back on his feet with some water and things like that, and he walked away. So because it was a glancing blow, but if you go directly into them, well, that'll be the last thing you hit.
Yeah. How has the journey been so far? Any anecdotes, any difficult, challenging moments for you on this journey? Any problems with the bike? And you're riding a BMW Tourer, I think. Why this bike?
Generally, I always ride adventure motorcycles because I like to go a little off-road also. But
Mhm.
considering the distance that we were planning to cover in the brief amount of time, I thought a touring bike would be better, but this is a sport touring bike. This is a GT 1600. Uh, it's a beautiful bike on the highways, but it's pretty impossible to handle this off-road in any
Yes. Yeah.
unpaved road because this 350 kilograms, nearly two-thirds of it is on the front wheel.
Yep.
So it's simply not a good thing to take it off-road. We've
Mhm.
had some trouble going in gravelly roads and stuff like that. Well, no real trouble, the machine is functioning fantastic. Only thing is, already I've changed tires.
Okay.
For front tires, I changed almost 2,000, 3,000 miles ago. Now, rear tire I just changed yesterday. It looks like we may have to change the front tire once again before we get back. So except for the tire changes and oil changes that we made, absolutely no trouble compared to the 250cc single cylinder Czechoslovakian SD Road Kings that I was riding at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another world altogether, these machines. This is a
Okay.
inline six engine and it's like as good as it can be.
Yeah. So, when you get quiet, wide, empty, open roads, do you enjoy that inline six and opening out the power or not?
See, you're kind of driving me towards a confession, which I won't give in. Well, the only crime that I've committed in my life is speed, but don't make me
Mhm.
confess what speed,
Okay.
okay?
What is the best part of this journey been for you so far?
Best part of the journey, I think every moment,
Yeah.
really, if you ask me.
No favorite regions that you've traveled in or favorite roads that you've
Oh,
encountered?
in terms of roads, we did some sections in in Wyoming and Montana region, one segment
Yeah.
called the Bear Claw Pass, which is a
Yes.
fantastic ride. And there's another ride going to the Indian Medicine Wheel, which is a famous medicine wheel. Oh, that road. And you know, the wonderful thing is, in these mountainous areas, because it snows in winter, they've covered it with some kind of a red compound, red
Mm-hmm.
colored compound. That compound will allow you to lean your bike whichever way you want.
Okay.
It just gives you such a fantastic sense of grip, and well-engineered roads plus this red compound gives it such a sense of grip, there is
Good.
really no issue at all.
Yeah.
So, road-wise, yes, and in terrain-wise, probably the Zion National Park, the Zion Valley and the Bryce Canyon, unbelievable. Unbelievable means unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's just
So
overwhelming.
since after 28 years you've again been bitten by the riding bug, do you think this will now continue, and will there be more bikes and more rides that we see in future?
At my age, I shouldn't even buy unripe bananas. So don't talk about more bikes. Let's see. Let's see how long it rolls.